What about the way this protest has spread to these very small towns? I don't think that's something we've seen before. I've heard reports from little places in Massachusetts where I have friends and other places around the country, tiny places where they've never seen any gathering of any protesters before. And sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's a dozen or 2 dozen. But what does that tell us about what's happening with this particular protest and its strength?
Yeah, so I think that, the good thing is that it is spreading to suburban and rural communities. When we look at the data from 2014 to today, there's actually been a considerable decrease in police killings in cities, but an increase in rural and suburban communities. So the problem has always been in rural and suburban communities. The cameras just haven't always been there. So it's good, actually, that the protests are spreading to these places because police violence is actually increasing in those communities. So when we look at the overall trend line, though it is decreasing by about 30% since 2014, the net increases in suburban and rural communities have completely erased the progress. So it's good that people aren't just focusing on the LAs and the New Yorks, right? It's good that people are thinking about like Western Maryland, that they're thinking about South Bend, Indiana, that people are thinking about places that aren't just the top 50 biggest cities in the country or the top 20 biggest cities about this issue, because those are where the news often goes. Those are where cameras go. But the problem is everywhere. And, in 2019, there was only 27 days where an officer didn't kill somebody. So this is also a pretty consistent trauma in communities.
And DeRay, what is your reaction to some of the legislative proposals, the governing proposals from Minneapolis City Council to Congress? Which of them do you think are the most effective if they are implemented?
Yes, I think Minneapolis is really a gold star right now. I think that disbanding the police department will be interesting. I'm hopeful that they will create new mechanisms in the city for safety. I used to live in Minneapolis. I know that the city has a deep problem with racism. And remember that in Minneapolis, a black person is 13 times more likely to be killed by a police officer than a white person. The highest racial disparity in police violence in any place across the country. When we think about that, too, it's, I'm hopeful that it isn't a commission that lasts 7 months and then keeps going. And, that can't be what happens. When I think about the federal legislation, it's a good first start. I think that there's some good things in the bill, but we don't really need to give any more money to police departments. And it seems like parts of the bill will increase funding to police departments. Police departments are already heavily funded across the country. When we think about this moment, we believe that experts should do what experts do. We should make sure that who responds to a mental health crisis, a mental health expert, not a police officer. Who responds to homelessness, not a police officer, a social worker, right? Like, how do we actually offload these responsibilities permanently and the resources permanently? That has to be a part of the strategy. I'm interested to see Congress step up and finally do something that's transformative, because I'll tell you, Lawrence, not much changed since 2014, right? 2014 to today, the police killed more people, not less. So the solutions they told us were solutions: body cameras, training. Those things didn't matter.